Let me just say a few things here before we start the program. I'm Hal Case, and I'm a trustee for the Southborough Open Land Foundation, and we're sponsoring the program this afternoon. I'd like to first thank the library and library staff and Ryan Donovan for setting up things for us like this and giving us the accommodation. For those of you who don't know much about the Open Land Foundation, we're a land trust for Southborough. We have 183 acres, I think, of land and 14 different parcels. We are a 503c1 charitable organization. We live only off of donations, memberships, and grants. We are not supported by anyone's taxes. For those of you, some of you who don't know us, you might have known us through the Art on the Trails that we had at Buell Preserve this summer. Many of you were up there. We had a show that lasted all summer for Art on the Trails. That was in conjunction with Catherine Weber. I'm happy to announce that will occur next year again. We'll announce that we'll have a show again next year at Buell Preserve. So if any of you are at all interested in becoming a member of the Open Land Foundation or more interested in what we're doing, I'm here. Sally Waters is over here. She's also a trustee. And Amy is back there. She's also a trustee. And they can certainly help you on that. This afternoon, we're really pleased to present Tom Riccardi, okay, who is both the founder and operator of the Massachusetts Bird of Prey Rehab Facility. And that's in Conway, Mass. Okay? Like us, he is a 503c1, a nonprofit who lives off of donations and grants and other things. Tom is, you let me know where I'm wrong, but I won't say much about you. You can tell us, okay? Okay, more about it. You're a retired fish and game warden, as I understand it, and you started the organization in 1982, did you tell me? 1972. And it's described as a labor of love, is it not? Okay, he is a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. Okay, and I think with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Tom because you can tell us more about yourself, and people can ask some questions if you'd like to know more about it. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Look at all these great costumes. I want to hurry up with the program because someone told me there's a lot of candy over there. Yeah, so as soon as I'm done, I'm going right over there. Nice to see all of you. You know, it's nice to talk to a group of people into the land conservation organizations because the biggest problem facing wildlife today is loss of habitat, no place to live. And when I do my programs, when I speak about birds of prey, I'm really speaking about all types of wildlife because they have all the same problems. You know, I used to live in Worcester when I was a youngster, and amazing, I came down Route 9 a few weeks ago, down through Westboro, and I didn't recognize it. I didn't recognize that whole road. It's Worcester all the way to Westboro. It's one big shopping mall. And I can remember when I was all woods. And that's what's happening all over this country. We're eating up the environment at such an alarming rate that we're losing a lot of different types of wildlife. Here in Massachusetts, we have 50 different species of fauna and flora that are on the state endangered or threatened list right now. 50. That's quite a bit for a state our size. Right now, my project is I work with raptors, birds of prey. And one thing that's real important, especially for the young people in the audience, all the birds I utilize today are all non-releasable, which means they have an injury that prevents me from releasing back to the wild. My project is to rescue, rehabilitate, and release. And that's the focus of the project. Unfortunately, in today's society, all the things we're doing in the environment causing a lot of problems to wildlife. You know, I see a lot of solar panels out now, really great. We're doing a lot of things like that. But you know, just like DDT 50 years ago, they haven't been perfected yet. And now we're finding out that migrating waterfowl are coming into these big solar panel fields and they're trying to land on the glass. They're bouncing off. Windmills Last year, President Obama had to sign a bill to shut down a windmill farm in Wyoming for a certain period of time because it was killing so many golden eagles. So a lot of the things we're doing today, cell phone towers, same thing. But of course, wildlife is the last thing to be considered. So I brought a bunch of different birds with me. I want to show you a few things before we show the birds. And again, it's really nice to see a lot of young people here at the program. I hope you enjoy looking at the birds. And if you have a special bird that you like the best, when we're done with the program, you come up and I'll give you a special treat. You can look at them all you want, okay? A young boy in the school once said to me, Mr. Ricard, if you had to pick one animal that represented the environmental movement, which animal would it be? And I said, without a doubt, it would be the African elephant. Because this beautiful tusk that the elephant has been blessed with, we want it. And we don't want it because it cures cancer or it's good for medicinal purposes. We want it so we can carve it, so we can make it little trinkets. And most biologists agree that if we do not stop the illegal trafficking in African ivory, the last wild elephant will be gone from planet Earth in about 15 years. And that includes the national parks out in Africa because they're being slaughtered at such a rapid rate. One other thing, I put this together to give you an idea, and I put on the top, extinction with a question mark. And if you look at this, pretty interesting. Some of you boys might not understand this, but I'll try to explain it to you. This right here, rhinoceros horn, made into a tablet, a pill. Tiger bone, made into a pill. This foot, taken as a trophy, that's the most powerful eagle in the world, called a hoppy eagle, endangered. How about a bracelet made from an elephant tusk? A tooth made from the endangered pygmy crocodile. Right here, a comb in a bar of soap made from the endangered hawksbill turtle. Bandages made from ground up tiger bone. And this is pretty interesting. That blue can, it says Russian caviar. You boys and girls know what caviar is?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? What's caviar?
It's fish eggs.
Fish eggs, very good. Fish eggs. And it says on there, Russian caviar. It's not. It's American paddlefish. The Russian sturgeon has been depleted. So you utilize the paddlefish from America, they recan it as Russian caviar, and they sell it on the market. But this stuff is all illegal. And last but not least, my favorite book. And we're in a library, so this comes in handy. What is it?
She's wearing a dead bird.
She's, quite a title. She's wearing a dead bird on her head. These two women in Boston, Mrs. Hemingway and Mrs. Hall, the year was 1895. They were out for a walk, and they noticed all the women had feathered hats, similar to this. They were outraged. How dare we slaughter all those beautiful birds just so someone can plop them on the top of their head. Well, they went to the State House and knocked on the governor's door. Wouldn't listen to him. They went to Washington. Wouldn't listen to him. Does anyone know why a woman in 1895 could not get a politician to help her? They couldn't vote. No voting rights. But Mrs. Hemingway and Mrs. Hall were persistent. They got a group of people together, and they formed a chapter of the Massachusetts Audubon Society. And these two women, Mrs. Hemingway and Mrs. Hall, were responsible for a law that's still in effect today. And that law was introduced in 1903, and it states you cannot possess the feathers of protected birds unless you have a special federal, state license, or you're a full-blooded Native American. And Native Americans, because of their heritage, they are entitled to keep eagle, hawk, owl feathers. In fact, when my birds molt feathers in the spring, I gather them, put them in a box, and at the end of the year, I ship them to a place in Oregon called the Eagle Repository. They take the feathers, and they distribute them to Native American people. We're talking about birds of prey. We're talking about hawks, eagles, owls, falcons, and even vultures are considered birds of prey. First bird I want to show you, I brought three different owls with me to show you. Can anyone tell me, especially the boys and girls, can anyone tell me something about an owl? Oh boy, I got some good ones here. Go ahead, huh? Owls go hoo hoo. Okay.
And some of them go hoo hoo.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute, hold it. What did you say?
My mom
Wow. You remember, she said, one owl sounds like it says, who cooks for you? I may even have that owl with me. We'll see. How about you?
they spit out pellets.
They spit out pellets. What is a pellet?
Like we did in a food soda.
Exactly. You know, that pellet is very important to the health of the bird. The owl swallows a mouse, the next morning he regurgitates that owl pellet. If I fed the birds in my care, I've got 86 birds right now I'm taking care of.
Wow.
If I fed them hamburger or chicken meat or things like that, they wouldn't survive very long, because that pellet not only gets rid of the food they can't digest, keeps the stomach clean. So up it comes, keeps the digestive tract clean. One more thing about an owl.
They can almost turn their heads to him.
They can almost turn their heads around.
And they can
We'll see if
fly.
you're right. What's that, huh?
And they can fly.
And they can fly. Be good. No one mentioned the feathers. Owls have special feathers because owls use their hearing as well as their eyesight to locate prey. So when they're flying, listen. Hawk feathers. Listen. Owl feathers. No sound. Silent flight. Okay. The first thing I have to do, because boy, what a beautiful rug. And I hope they don't miss. Let's see what I've got in this box. What is this guy? That's right. What kind of owl is it? Does anyone know?
Great horned owl.
Which one?
Great horned owl. A great horned owl.
Great horned owl. He's called a great horned owl. Do you know why he has those tufts on his head? They're called ear tufts, but they have nothing to do with his hearing. Someone over here said he's nocturnal. He hunts at night. In the daytime, he wants to hide. Let's pretend this is a tree trunk. Watch. He lands on the tree, he walks on a branch, and he flattens himself right against the tree. Now he puts his ears up in the air, that beautiful color, and you walk right by him and think it's an old, broken branch. So that's why he has those beautiful tufts of feathers on the top of his head. Watch his head. Watch his head. Let's see if he'll do it today. Watch his head. Get ready. Let's see. I'm going to turn around. Oh, here we go. He'll go all the way around. This is the largest species of owl in New England. This bird is called the tiger of the air for a good reason. This guy will hunt anything. He's looking at a butterfly right now. Yeah, butterfly. He's hungry. He's got a bumblebee over there, too. This bird hunts literally anything in the forest, and believe it or not, one of his favorite meals, he loves skunks. Let me walk up here, and hopefully he won't poop on the rug. I hope not. This is a boy owl. This is a male. When you look at an owl or a hawk or an eagle, one of them is bigger than the other. Guys, which one is the biggest one? The boy or the girl? The girl. The female's a big, strong one. The male's a little puny guy. So this is the male. The female would be a little taller. Great pond owl. He's 15 years old now.
Wow.
No, I don't. Let me show you next. What was that call before? Who cooks for you? Remember that call? Okay, I'm going to show you that bird. I have to stand here because I know this guy really well. What kind of owl is it? A barred owl. And she said, who cooks for you? That's the call of this owl. Hey, there you go.
Well, that's why he has that.
He makes a sound like someone saying, who cooks for you?
I hear
Who
that.
cooks for you all? And that would come from this owl. You know, when I look at this owl, I always think Mother Nature made a mistake. This owl should have been a vegetarian. Look at that face. Doesn't look like a predator. He's just got such a beautiful face. So that's called the barred owl. And also, boys and girls, owls are cavity nesters. Does anyone know what that means? What's a cavity nester? Anyone know? Yeah, they don't build a nest. They find a hole in the tree, and they go inside the hole, and that's where they raise their family. The barred owl is probably the most common owl here in New England. And you'll notice no tufts of feathers on the top of the head. He's looking at you.
Now he's looking at you.
You ready for this one? Listen. 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 Now, hear that sound? He makes a screeching sound. If he makes a screeching sound, what kind of owl is it? A screech owl. This is the red-faced screech owl. Yeah, he's not a baby. He's about 19 years old. He's got red feathers. They come in two colors. This is what we call the rufous or the red phase. They also have a silvery gray color. Same owl, just a different color. You know, if you people want to do something for the environment, this bird will take to a bird box. If you go on the internet and look up owl boxes, it'll give you the right dimensions. But I just use an old soda can. Perfect opening. Cut about a foot square box, soda can for an opening. You might get this little guy to come in and nest in. Very beneficial. Eat a lot of rodents. Unfortunately today, some of the rodent eaters, like the screech owl, some of the smaller hawks and owls, they're running into trouble because today we usually get a lot of rodents, I guess you call it rodenticides, poisons for rodents. And those rodents, when they take in that poison, running out in the fields and house cats and animals and owls are getting that poison in their system. So the screech owl, should shut his box. No, can't go in there. Now you know why I get very nervous about walking around. Wait until he's done. All right. It was interesting when I got to call this bird about 18 years ago. He was stuck in a woman had a rose bushes over a trellis, and he was stuck inside the rose bush. And when I rescued the bird, he had a thorn right in his eyeball. And when I walked by, you could still see the cut in his eye. So he's got partial vision in that one eye. Let me tell you, if this owl was not happy, he would fill this room with such a loud scream, I think everybody would run for cover. Very loud sound.
the big
Check it out. If you have any questions when I have the birds up, another one. I'm going to run out of paper. The best boy and girl in the room today, when we're done with the program, I'm going to pick the best person to help me clean up after. This is called a Harris hawk. When you look at the Harris hawk, he's what we call an ambush predator. He hides in the canopy of the forest. And he has short wings, a long tail, and look at those legs. Long legs. And when a bird goes flying by with the short wings and long tail, through the branches, long legs, reach right out, capture his prey. All he does, watch his head. He has 3 eyelids. 3 eyelids. He can blink from the top down. When he sleeps, his eyelid from the bottom up. And when he's hunting, he has a 3rd eyelid called the nictitating membrane. And if I touch his face, did you see it? It changes. It's called a nictitating membrane. It covers the eye. Notice that hook beat on this bird. You know, we hear a lot today about climate change. This bird is a southwestern bird. New Mexico, Arizona, into Texas. But we're finding these birds up in the mid-Atlantic states right now. Just like here in New England, the black vulture. Drive to Florida, they're everywhere. They're coming into New England now. We've got black vultures nesting in Massachusetts because of global warming. So a lot of birds like this are drifting north, and bird watchers are spotting different species you can't figure it out. And most of it is because global warming of the climate is changing. That's called a Harris hawk. Again, notice the shape of this bird. For speed, like a falcon, short wings, long tail. And the next bird I'll show you is much, much different. Does anyone know which species of raptor, bird of prey, is the largest bird of prey? Largest bird of prey.
A golden eagle?
You're pretty close. Not a golden eagle. Anyone else? Birdman. Which one?
Eagle.
You're pretty close. You're right. What kind of vulture? A condor. Give me an idea. Now, most people say an eagle. Here's a feather from a golden eagle. Pretty big. Now watch. Here's a feather from the largest raptor, the condor. Look at the difference. No. Who are you? Look at his tail. Look at his tail. This is the red-tailed hawk. I have to stay here on this plastic with this bird. Sometimes he's pretty messy. If you look at the red-tailed hawk, he's kind of a slow bird. He's what we call a soaring hawk. Big broad wings, big broad tail. He sits. When a mouse or an animal goes scurrying by, he just drops right down and catches his prey. Unfortunately, the red-tailed hawk has learned a real bad habit. He loves to hunt along the edge of the highways. Down along the Mass Pike, on 495, you'll see them sitting in the trees. And when they focus on an animal, believe me, that's all they care about. So a squirrel or something goes across the highway, they're focused on that animal, and many of them get hit by cars because of that habit. You know, it takes 2 years. He's doing his dance. Arm up. Turn around. You know, it takes the red-tailed hawk 2 years before. Whoop, whoop. So I said he's messing. It takes them 2 years before they get that beautiful red tail. Okay. Red tail up. He only goes once. You don't have to worry.
What was his wound?
Blind in one eye. Yeah.
Most of them
Yeah, this one looks real good. Yeah, it's just his eye. Yeah.
Most of them
The head, you know, the eyes, the head is so big. You know, the trauma usually occurs in the head. Oh wow.
At our yard last year, the little baby would come down and sit on our porch.
Right on the coastline.
What a bird, yeah.
Okay. Red-tailed hawk. You know, the old-time farmers used to call this bird a chicken hawk. They loved to raid the chicken yards. And you know, today we're all health conscious. We don't keep chickens in coops anymore. We want free-range chicken. Thank you. On behalf of the red-tailed hawks, thank you. Because they love it. So your chickens are scurrying around in the pasture. This guy's watching. And eventually he'll get them. Ah, 2 chickens?
Yeah, two coyotes.
Oh, coyotes? Yeah. Yeah, they're just as bad. But it's the old chicken hawk. I brought a golden eagle to show you in a minute. The reason I brought the golden eagle today, because most people don't see a golden eagle. But the bald eagle, the national bird of the United States, back in the 80s, that bird was in trouble because of pesticide contamination. I had several birds at my facility, and I thought, boy, it'd be really great if I could pair them up, and maybe mom would lay an egg, and I could hatch the egg in an incubator and release the young. Easier said than done. Bald eagles mate for life. And you'll hear that said about a lot of different types of wildlife, but with bald eagles, it's very true. The pair stays together. And if something happens to one or the other, it takes years before the other will accept a mate. So what I did, I paired the birds up, and sure enough, one of the birds produced 2 eggs in the corner of her enclosure. The second problem with eagles, I call it Cain and Abel. The female eagle produces 1 egg, incubates immediately. A week later, she has egg number 2. Now, 35 days go by, the first egg hatches. A week later, second egg hatches. Now we have a situation, we have an eaglet this big, one this big. Now the big one becomes a bully, picks on the little guy, and sometimes in the wild, the little one does not survive. So what I do at my facility, I remove 1 egg, place it in an incubator, hatch it artificially. You know, I'm really blessed with the fact that the federal government allows me to work with the national bird of this country. Pretty hard to get that paperwork. But anyway, once that little chick hatches, I have to make sure that he doesn't think I'm his mom. Because if I took an egg in this room, now if you boys get a chance to look at an egg, that's what it would look like inside. See that line right here? That's called an air cell. And when that little chick starts to hatch, he forms a little bump on his beak called an egg tooth. When I hear that in the incubator, very carefully I take it out of the incubator and I put it in a big box like this. And I got a hole cut in the front and I have a one-way mirror on the side. And here's the reason. If I took this egg here at the library and let it hatch, when that little guy popped out of the egg and he looked at all of us, what do you think he's gonna think? Mama, that's my sister, that's my brother, that's my mom, that's my dad. It's called imprinting. Very hard to reverse. So I had to fool that little eagle, place the egg inside that box, and when the eagle hatched, the best way to fool him is use a puppet. Like this. Now I got a hole cut in the front of the box, I could take the puppet, I put a piece of food on the tip of its beak, I could put my hand in the box like this, and that's how I feed that little eagle with this puppet, just like that. Now, here's the secret. When that little guy, find it here. When that little eagle is about 3 weeks old, we find a wild eagle nest. The climber goes up into the nest, and if the chick in the nest is compatible in size, we could foster that chick in the wild nest. And when mom and dad come back, they got 2 babies instead of 1, both about the same size. And these are eagle bands. We put one on his leg, just like my watch. This has a special number on it and the date. It tells where the bird came from and the time. So this goes on the bird's leg. So I've been doing that for quite a few years. Okay. Last but not least, hey, big guy. Let's go. He's hungry. You guys better be quiet in front. This is the golden eagle. And the golden eagle gets its name from that color in the back of its head. That beautiful golden color. Unfortunately, the golden eagle is gone from New England. I was just talking to my friend over here, and all the years I've been working with eagles and hawks and owls, I've only seen 4 in my lifetime in New England. This is one of the 4. They were eradicated many, many years ago. A logger up in Gardner, not too far from here, along the New Hampshire line, they were cutting logs. And he saw this bird on the ground, and he did the right thing. He left it alone. A week later, he went back into the forest to recover his logs, and the bird was still there. When I went up to rescue this eagle, this wing, you can see it doesn't function properly. It was broken, and it stopped to heal on its own. It could not be released back to the wild. You know, unfortunately, as I said, the bird's gone from this area. A lot of people will tell me, I see golden eagles all the time. But what they're looking at are bald eagles, juvenile bald eagles, which take 5 years before they get their white head and tail. In the meantime, they look similar to a golden eagle. But that's where it ends, basically, because the golden eagle is a real predator compared to the bald eagle. This guy's the real hunter of the bird world. I don't know if you guys can see that back talon. It's about 3 inches long. It's as long as a bear's claw. Good guy today. You know, when you work with an eagle like this, it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. You might have noticed one thing. I didn't say this is Goldie the eagle or Hootie the owl. That's great for your library books. That's great for Walt Disney. But in the real world, this is not Goldie, it's a golden eagle. I don't give him the right?
Yeah.
Okay. I ran out of birds. I'm going to be around for quite a while after I'm done. If you want to see the birds again, just come on up. I'll be more than glad to show them to you. You know, if I can leave you with one thought, especially for the young people. If you boys and girls are all walking home from school in the springtime, you see a baby bird or a baby animal, what's the best thing to do? Leave it alone. And I always say, if you care, leave it there. When a baby bird jumps out of the nest, where does he end up? On the ground. It's just like you boys and girls know, if mom says to you, wait right here, I'll be right back, that's exactly what you do. And that little bird does the same thing. I'm not going to move. Mom's going to feed me right here. But here's the secret. That bird has no smell on its feathers. None. So when a raccoon or a house cat comes out looking for something to eat, he's going to walk right by that little bird. Can't see him, can't smell them. Now you come along very innocently, you pick that little baby bird up, touch him, put him back down. What did I just do? I made him have a scent. Now when the raccoon comes out, he's going to smell me. And he's going to go right to that little bird. So if you see a little bird, a little animal, the best advice, that's only one reason. Best advice, leave it alone. It's really important. Okay? Again, I'm going to be around for a while, and I want to thank you for being here today, and thank you for the land trust and inviting me. Thank you.
Bird feeders in the backyard. We're attracting pigeons. Anything?